Hello, my name is Robbie Davis, and I'd like to thank you for joining me. Today I aim to broaden your understanding of a topic you may already know much about. That topic is evolution, more specifically the mechanism behind evolution, what we call natural selection. Now, if I were to ask you who discovered this natural phenomenon, almost all of you would say the same name, Charles Darwin. Although that isn't incorrect, it isn't completely accurate either. In fact, without the near simultaneous discovery of natural selection by another British naturalist, Charles Darwin may have never published his On the Origin of Species. That man was none other than Alfred Russell Wallace. More than 14 years after Charles Darwin, Alfred Russell Wallace was able to derive the concept of natural selection all on his own. Instead of Galapagos, he was in the Malaya Archipelago, situated between the Indian and Pacific Oceans. Instead of finches, he studied butterflies, as well as two mammalian species separated between a strip of water, later dubbed the Wallace Line. Once Wallace had put his idea into paper, he wanted someone to review it before putting it before the eyes of the public, someone knowledgeable about the subject. This was none other than Charles Darwin himself. Darwin was the foremost naturalist during this time. Now, it's important to note that at this time, the idea of special creation reigned supreme. In other words, the creatures on this earth were put here by God soon after he created this world. They did not diverge from ancestral species as his paper would suppose. This idea alone could label him as a heretic and ruin his career and life thereafter. Upon reading Wallace's letter, he was shocked. This young man had come up with the same exact hypothesis he had years earlier. Astonished, he quickly began work on his On the Origin of Species. Upon revealing his work, however, he did not leave Wallace out, even though Wallace was still in the Malaya Archipelago continuing his research. This lends to Charles Darwin's character. In fact, he essentially gave him half the credit, although both naturalists agree that Charles Darwin did come to the conclusion first. So, in the end, the theory of natural selection can be attributed to two individuals, Charles Darwin and Alfred Russell Wallace. Unfortunately, most of us have never heard of the latter. Some would say, including Darwin himself, that this is because Darwin's affluent background provided him the time to contemplate this idea in depth. Meanwhile, Wallace needed to be in the field collecting specimens in order to make a living at all. Nonetheless, these two became friends and remained friends until the end of their days. Most noteworthy, however, while both realized nature is a fierce competition for survival, they did not compete against each other. Instead, they worked together. To that, I say cheers.